Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Awesome Sunday Show. Pat here as usual.
And Connor is back again, but every time.
Yeah, I mean, that should be like a well-known fact at this point.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But whatever, still going to do it every time. Deal with it. So, starting in May, which is next week, we have two huge movies coming out. Two huge comic book movies. One of them is bigger than the other.
Yes.
And for pretty good reason. And I'm more excited for one more so than the other, even though I'm excited for both.
I am excited for both, yes.
And the one that we're both most excited for would be
Captain America: Civil War.
Yes. That comes out May
Avengers
6th.
2.5.
That's kind of like a way to put it. It more or less is, but there's a good reason for that, which we're going to get into. We're going to talk about both movies a little bit right now. We're going to start with Civil War. And first of all, Civil War right now is getting reviewed through the roof.
It's currently holding a 98% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah.
And it already has a critics consensus already, which I think it has to have over 50 reviews or something like that. Don't quote me on that. I may be wrong, but it has to have a certain amount of reviews in order for it to have an actual Rotten Tomatoes consensus. But yeah, the consensus, which I would be more than happy to read out loud right now, while you're checking to see how many reviews are up for it.
It's got 66 reviews.
That's awesome. The critics' consensus is Captain America: Civil War begins the next wave of Marvel movies with an action-packed superhero blockbuster boasting a decidedly non-cartoonish plot, wink wink, and the courage to explore thought-provoking themes. Reason why I say wink wink on the not cartoonish plot, I recently put out a tweet today saying, for everybody complaining about complaining that Batman vs Superman is not for kids and Marvel movies are for children, yep, decidedly not cartoonish plot, thought-provoking themes. Two things Batman vs Superman failed with. But anyway, again, I don't want to keep bringing that up. So yeah, the reviews are excellent so far.
Yeah, there's 63 are fresh, 3 are rotten. The first rotten review that I saw the other day was actually really not a rotten review. The reviewer pretty much praised it for most of it and then was like, yeah, there's like a couple things that bother me, and gave it a C on his website. But for whatever reason, Rotten Tomatoes took like the negative quote and made it
Rotten Tomatoes does that sometimes. I once clicked on a review for Boogeyman that was a positive review because that movie's like one of the worst horror movies I've ever seen in my life, and the guy was being sarcastic throughout his review but in the review it said the scariest movie I've ever seen ever.
Yeah,
but when you actually read the review, the movie sucks and he's just being sarcastic, but Rotten Tomatoes put it in as a positive review. So it's not perfect, the system, but it's very accurate, as accurate as it could be.
Yeah, for the most part, I would definitely agree with that. Yeah, I'm glad you laughed at the cartoonish element and like people saying that Marvel movies are just for kids. That is fucking bullshit.
That is such crap.
And you know what? The only people that are saying that are butthurt DC fanboys who are sucking Zack Snyder's asshole.
Yep.
I love both Marvel and DC. I'm not one over the other.
I want DC to be just as successful.
Yeah. But to say Marvel's movies are childish and just comedies is completely untrue.
Yeah. It's not.
There's some serious shit that Marvel has dealt with.
I know. I mean, The Winter Soldier is essentially like a huge criticism of how government works as far as when it comes to like privacy and home invasion and like what really should go out there and like who's really controlling, and it makes you second guess like trust as far as the things of the unknown. There's so many great themes in that movie. It's one of my favorite movies. Probably one of the top 20 favorite movies I've ever seen through The Winter Soldier.
Yeah, and they even deal with some serious themes like throughout them. Like in Iron Man, it's about terrorists. It functions both as like with terrorists. This man, he's this company that his father built that's dealing weapons to terrorists on without him knowing, and he gets affected by it and nearly dies from it, and decides to change that around while sacrificing, he's risking his company in order to turn this around, and then he gets betrayed.
Yep.
And almost forced out. Then in Iron Man 2, he's dealing with the responsibility of being a hero, and he becomes an alcoholic and puts his friends in danger, his life in danger, fucking Pepper's life in danger.
Yeah.
And causes a lot of shit. And then like the Civil War is going to deal with like Winter Soldier was a great example of social commentary, commenting on the state of the government, especially coming out after what Edward Snowden's leaked documents revealed about the NSA.
Yeah.
Like how they're spying on literally everybody. And now, is there comedy in it? Yeah. Because they're not going to make a whole movie just completely serious.
It's a comic book movie.
It's a comic book movie.
That's like complaining about Westerns that there's not enough grass.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, because they're in friggin' Nevada. Like, of course they're,
And you know what? Making a movie completely 100% serious, such as Batman vs. Superman, doesn't make it a better movie just because of that.
Yeah. It absolutely.
It doesn't work. Even most dramas, there's still some jokes and comedy in it.
Oh, yeah. I mean, like, even The Godfather has, like, a couple chuckles in that movie. And
anyway, anybody who uses that criticism, that's their only criticism, and it's a false criticism that doesn't apply.
Again, it's like I try not to be like, I'm sorry. I said before it has a 98%.
It was 98% until a couple more reviews came in. It's at 95% still.
That's still awesome.
And it's completely funny. Batman vs. Superman, is like 28% right now, 29.
Yeah.
To this, and people are saying there's still people who are saying that Batman vs. Superman is gonna be better. No. But we've already shit talked Batman vs. Superman enough. But getting into Civil War, it's gonna deal with like who's responsible for the results and actions of this power that these individuals have. And it's government, legislature, and the government trying to put restrictions on things.
Yep.
And it sets up an internal conflict between the heroes. Mainly led by two teams, which are Iron Man and Captain America. Mm-hmm. Now, this is an adaptation of like one of the most famous comic book arcs in recent memory.
Yeah.
And that is the Civil War comics. Obviously, there's huge differences. I'll talk a little bit about those.
As in, like, the amount of heroes that are involved?
Yeah, the amount of heroes that are involved, the exact instances that are causing this, the name of the acts that are trying to, that they're trying to enact to control the heroes. But the two main things you need to know is there's separated two teams led by Iron Man and Captain America. Basically, Iron Man is fighting for the government, the Avengers operating under government like discretion and rules and whatever, and Captain America is against that.
Right, and for good reason, because Captain America saw what happened with Hydra infiltrating S.H.I.E.L.D.
Yeah, see, this is good, because this has been building since Iron Man, and like since their first individual movies, and it's based on their experiences.
Right.
Because Iron Man, Tony has dealt with, throughout his 3 Iron Man movies, and then both Avengers, he's been fighting against individuals who have gained too much power and who have operated willingly and have caused a whole mess of problems, himself included.
Yeah.
Because he's responsible for Ultron. Mm-hmm. And, look at the damage that caused. Which, funny enough, Sokovia, apparently only 74 people died. I mean, not that that's funny, but I expected it to be much more. And then the Battle of New York in Avengers 1, a lot less people died than I would have expected, at least from what they kind of...
Because the Avengers were there.
Yeah. And then Captain America, on the other hand, since his first movie, has seen what too much power in control of a small group of people is capable of when he fought against Hydra and then S.H.I.E.L.D. Because in Winter Soldier, initially SHIELD was building weapons to control the world.
Yeah.
Not control the world, but to police the world. And Project Insight, which dealt with those 3 helicarriers, which they had to take down at the end, was being used to stop events before it happened.
Right.
Which is actually what's causing the problems in Civil War 2, which is I don't know if it released yet, but it's the new, sequel to Civil War. That's different. So throughout Captain's hero career, he's seen the corruption of institutions.
I mean,
and he's fighting against.
Let's go back even further with the first Captain America during World War II. He's essentially fighting an evil government that had too much control over their country, and again, with all the examples that you just had, Captain America, who's literally in his 80s or 90s technically,
he's like
looks
98.
back. It looks back and is like, wow, this is like the Nazis had that much control over their country. And he from all the negative things he's seen when it comes to Project Insight, Hydra invading SHIELD, being a part of essentially the American government when it was originally a part of the Nazi government. He doesn't see a good outcome coming. That's why I'm Team Captain America. Not because I like him better. He is my favorite character in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, but I'm just like that in general.
Yeah,
I'm a very giant FU to the government. That's how I am. But that's again, I'm not gonna get too much in. What's up?
You're a hippie. I'm kidding. Captain, he brings, you've seen this in all 3 of the trailers, but obviously in the movie he's going to bring this up, is if they're being controlled by a governing body, they may not, say there's a huge situation happening in New York that he's like, okay, we need to go help this, but the government's like, no, that's not how it's going to work. We don't think you should go for that. His argument is, well, if we can't go protect them, then that situation is going to get, crazy out of hand. And say it's aliens again, no government, agency, no military can handle that.
No.
You need the Avengers to handle that. Think about it. In the Battle of New York, if the Avengers weren't there, New York would have been wiped out. It would have been nuked. And they saved all those lives.
Yeah.
And who knows how far the Chitauri could have gotten, in the United States.
What if the nuke didn't take them all away?
Yeah.
There was more of an army. Granted, the nuke in general did help because Iron Man used it.
Yeah.
But still,
they would have sacrificed the biggest city in the world.
Yeah.
And hundreds of, millions and millions of lives. And then who knows if that would have stopped the Chitauri anyway. But he's saying, say there's this situation that's so serious going on over here, but the government wants them in a different place handling a situation that more benefits the government than it does people.
Right.
And that's Captain America's problem. He goes, if we're, being controlled by the government, we can't do what we think is right in situations that require our help more than others. Mm-hmm. And Tony's position is he supports the government. He goes, we need to be kept in check because we have all these powers. And there's more and more people coming out with powers that we're discovering. And this is as the result of Hydra's experimentations, such as with Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch.
Right.
And then with the rise of Inhumans on Earth, which they're not going to address in Civil War because Civil War was written before this was coming together. And it's harder for the movie universe to acknowledge what happens in the TV show universe. But Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. since season 2, they're now, since almost before the first half of last season, has been establishing the rise of these Inhumans and how Hydra was using them against the world. They're trying to use them, gathering these powered individuals to rule the world, and they're trying to find and recruit more Inhumans. And a reason that so many of these Inhumans are coming about is because of these thing called Terrigen crystals, which basically, if you have the Inhuman gene in you, you consume that or you're exposed to it, you turn and get your powers. And unless you're trained to develop them, you won't know how to use them.
Right. So
you'll use them however, or if you're an evil individual, you're going to use them at your discretion for nefarious purposes. But at the end of season 2 of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., a large portion of those Terrigen crystals ended up in the ocean, and were being like absorbed by fish. And so it was those fish. It was like in a highly popular fishing area. You know, they were consumed by people for meals and then converted into like fish oil pills. So people eating fish and consuming those fish oil pills who didn't know they had a chance for any powers were suddenly getting powers. But in Civil War, they're going to acknowledge like there are people who they're going to refer to as enhanced, getting more powers.
Right.
And that's something Tony sees, aside from just the Avengers need to be kept in check, but people with powers in general need to be kept in check.
Okay.
And that's what he's fighting for. In the comics, what happened was this group called the New Warriors were, funny enough, they were filming a reality TV show. They were trying to take down this group of villains, including this guy Nitro, who basically had nuclear powers, and he set off what was basically just this giant explosion, he is a walking bomb.
Okay.
And he set off this giant explosion that killed 600 people, including 60-something children, and this was known as the Stanford Incident. And this led to the government wanting to keep powered individuals in check, but what it was called was the Superhero Registration Act, and it wanted every hero and person with powers to register with the government. That means, you know, their secret identity. The government wanted them to be instructed when they're allowed to act, instead of, you know, jumping in when they need to, and, you know, sacrificing their secret identity, which is the most, you know, important part of their life.
I remember in Civil War, Spider-Man actually was one of the ones who revealed himself.
It was the biggest reveal.
Yeah.
Like him revealing his secret identity was probably the biggest reveal of that comic. Like, it was the most important identity that was revealed. 'Cause, you know, everybody knows who Iron Man is, because Tony Stark openly admits it. Yeah. Well, I mean, in the movie universe, like, everybody knows who that is. Granted, in the movie universe, they're not going based on secret identities. That's not the thing. It's they want to keep the Avengers in check, and the governments or world governments in the UN want them to be told when they can go and help people.
Yeah.
But, you know, not every hero's identity is known. Granted, Captain America's is, because he was a pop icon.
Yes.
And he's a historical figure.
Yeah, but he's never had like a secret identity.
Right. Everybody knows Captain America is Steve Rogers. You know, his identity has been known since he was created.
Yeah.
Pretty much. So it's different situations, but the similarity is the government wants to control those individuals.
Yeah.
They want them to operate like the Army does. The Army is sent on missions where the government or ruling bodies see fit. And in the movies, it's going to be called the Sokovia Accords, because it's coming as a major result of a culmination of the Battle of New York, all the different individuals, you know, fights and whatever throughout the, you know, beginning of the MCU, and then Sokovia, and then events that occur in Civil War. Which, if you see in the trailer, there's some bombings going on. A UN building, where I think it's a UN building, we don't really know for sure until we see the movie, but was bombed. And they're placing the blame on the Winter Soldier, Bucky, because he was a Hydra assassin, and that's what, you know, throughout his use was put, you know, that's how he was used. And then when he was proven to be real and a huge instrument of what the events that happened in Winter Soldier, it's easy to place the blame on him. You know, even though he's probably the one that's, you know, has done those things in Civil War. I mean, in the one trailer, he even says, "I don't do that anymore."
Yeah.
So he could have gotten free of Hydra control in some way, but the government is still placing blame on him for those things.
Well, yeah, he's done things. He's done things that could cause him to still be wanted by the government.
Yeah, I mean, he's wanted for, you know, probably who knows how many crimes throughout Hydra's use of him, but so it's easy to place the blame on him for any of these events that happen. Plus, they want him to, you know, pay for all the other things he did.
Yeah.
Deservingly so, you know, even though, because he did terrible things. Granted, he was controlled, but still.
It wasn't his fault.
Yeah. It's not like he had a choice. so that's like what the conflict is. Captain America is against these regulations. Iron Man is for it. And the teams are separated. On Team Cap, it's him, Falcon, of course, because Falcon's like his buddy.
Yeah.
And, you know,
He goes where Captain America
He's going to go
goes.
where Captain America goes because he supports Captain 100%.
Which is awesome because in the comics it's like that too.
Yeah, which is great. It's great. Sam Wilson, Falcon, even becomes Captain America at one point. But yeah, that's how it is. That's how their relationship is. And then Scarlet Witch is part of his team too. Which I guess it's just because she's part of the newest Avengers. I don't know.
Yeah, I think she's under Cap, like, because like at the end of Age of Ultron, which trolled us really hard, where he says Avengers and it cuts away. The room was filled with Don Cheadle. I just like call him Don Cheadle. War Machine, Scarlet Witch, Vision. Who else was in there? And Falcon. There was 5 people in that room, right? Besides Scarlett Johansson and Chris Evans. Training. It was Rhodes, Vision, Scarlet Witch,
And Falcon.
I guess that was it.
That was it. 'Cause
Okay.
Hawkeye wasn't there.
Oh yeah, Hawkeye wasn't there. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's not. But even those new Avengers that we see in that lineup at the end, they're still split amongst the two teams.
Yeah.
So for Team Captain America, it is, like I said, Cap, Falcon, Scarlet Witch, Hawkeye, which we don't really know his motivations for it.
Yeah.
I forget
Which team is he on?
He's on
Cap's
Cap.
team.
I forget what his alignment was in the comics. I forget most of the alignment in the comics, to be honest.
Well,
I haven't read it in a while.
there were so many heroes in the comics.
Yeah, there was over like pretty much every
Over
character
9,000.
in Marvel's roster.
Yeah.
Then we have Bucky Barnes, the Winter Soldier. He's going to support Cap no matter what, and Cap is fighting to protect him because you've seen he's a wanted individual. He's suspect number 1, and Iron Man even comes for him. And then we have Ant-Man, which we got a hint of at the end because Falcon pretty much is like, yeah, I know a guy who can help us out.
Yeah.
And we see it in the trailer that he joined with him. And that's because, he was in prison. He knows what it's like to be controlled. He's a huge Captain America fan.
Yeah.
And we don't know exactly why, but we know that, he's obviously siding with Cap because he agrees with him. He agrees in that instance for what Cap is fighting for. And then we have Sharon Carter, aka Agent 13, who we see in The Winter Soldier. Although in the latest trailer, she seems to be operating on Team Iron Man. I think she works more with the government first before picking sides.
Yeah.
Because I think after the events of Winter Soldier, she becomes like a CIA agent or something.
Or you saw that she at the end of I think it was Avengers where she applies for Stark Industries.
No, that was Maria Hill.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm thinking of someone else.
And that was in Winter Soldier.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think she applied for the CIA or something.
Oh, yeah. Agent Carter. Yeah. She's the CIA.
Yeah, so I think that's how she's going to start off the movie, is just working for the CIA or the UN. And you see her working with Martin Freeman, who is the UN's or the US's...
Martin Freeman's in this movie?
Yeah, he's the ambassador to Wakanda.
That's awesome.
And he's going to be part of the governing body of who's trying to pass the Sokovia Accords. And then we got Team Iron Man, of course. Iron Man, and then Rhodes as War Machine, because him and Tony go way back. And he's a government figure. He's a general or something.
If anything, he was the original leader as far as like keeping like everything in check with the government. Like he wanted Tony Stark to bring in the Iron Man suit in Iron Man 2, and he wouldn't do it. So if anything, like Rhodes is really the originator of the philosophy behind that team. Yeah.
He's a government figure because he's a born and bred military man, has been his whole career. I think he's a general or something like that. Of course he supports this, and he supports Tony. And then Black Widow, surprisingly, this one threw me off a little bit. I was expecting her to be on Team Cap.
I think this comes down to like making it even. But I'm sure the movie probably does a clever twist with it. I mean, if you really think back about it, even though she had a terrible experience with her own government, the American government really saved her because Shield was essentially part of the American government.
Yeah.
So she might be on the side, like, hey, like she might be like, hey, we can trust this government.
Yeah. It's just, it's funny because her and Tony never really got along.
Which is funny, though. Which
is funny, but she's going against Hawkeye, who is her closest friend that we've continually seen. Mm-hmm. Although in the one trailer, there is a moment where they're both like at a stalemate fighting, and she's like, "We're still friends, right?" And he goes, "Depends on how hard you hit me." But it's just weird to see them go against one another.
Yeah,
how much we know they've been through. And then Black Panther, who is being introduced in this movie, who I'm really fucking excited for, because Black Panther is awesome. Chadwick Boseman's playing him, and he's a great actor.
Yeah, he's awesome,
and his suit looks fantastic.
I think we all know the elephant in the room we're going to address, but I think out of all the suits, he might be my favorite.
His new suit is not his new suit, but his suit is great.
It's so good.
It looks so cool.
Yeah,
and that part where he just like brushes off a bullet to it because the vibranium weave doesn't even affect him. He's just like, bitch, I got you. But yeah, he's the leader of Wakanda. He's technically the prince. If his father is alive during this movie, then he's going to be the king. But he's on Team Iron Man because he has a personal vendetta against the Winter Soldier, because I think Bucky probably under Hydra's control assassinated his father, or in the bombing we see in the trailers, kills his father. Mm-hmm. And he wants to take Bucky out for that. Understandably, wants to get revenge for his dad. And he is a government leader in his own country.
Yeah, it just makes sense to be on Iron Man's team.
And he's in the UN, so if the UN is enacting this, then he's going to support the UN. And then Vision is also on his team, which I didn't really see coming, but I get it, because he wants to protect life. He explicitly says that in Age of Ultron. He goes, "I'm on the side of life."
Yeah,
and I guess he wants safety for humanity, and I guess if Tony convinced him, like, we're better off for humanity if we're kept in check like this.
Tony may I can see Vision in the movie like not knowing until like a certain point where it's like, well, I see more Tony Stark's point of view. Did you mention Scarlet Witch being on Team Cap?
Yeah.
Okay. I guess we have one person left for Team Iron Man to bring up.
And this is probably the character that most people are excited for. Definitely in the promotions, people were waiting for him, dying for him ever since that huge deal that was struck between Marvel and Sony, and that is Spider-Man.
Yep, can't wait. And I'm a huge Spider-Man fan.
Oh yeah, he's one of my favorite, if not my favorite of all time.
Yeah.
And he's beloved by pretty much everybody. Mm-hmm. And he's going to be a key figure in this movie and going forward. But in the comics, he was really key to Civil War. In the comics, at least, I don't know how it's going to play out in this movie, but he started off Team Iron Man, and he revealed his identity once he joined Team Iron Man and signed up for this Superhero Registration Act. But he ended up seeing what Tony and the government had planned for people who didn't sign up and obey, which was that he built a prison in the negative zone. And it was imprisoning those individuals there against their will, until they complied. He was against that. But he ended up switching over to Team Cap when he realized, the error in Tony's ways and how much he actually really disagreed with it, and how much of a negative effect it would have on, superheroes and the world in general.
Yeah.
Don't know if his loyalties are going to change in this.
I hope it does, because I want Spider-Man to be on Captain America's team.
All we have seen so far in the trailer is that he's part of Iron Man, Team Iron Man. Could change, could not. They're not going to make it 100% like the comics, I'm sure.
I said before, and we both said, Black Panther's suit is it's my favorite suit out of all of them. Spider-Man's is a really close second.
His new suit looks great.
Yeah, I think it looks awesome. I love the fact that his eyes close a little more and open.
Yeah, it's very comic book, except more tech based.
It's more tech based, and I think that kind of shows that Iron Man had something to do with his suit.
Oh, I 100% think that Iron Man built that suit, or constructed that suit for him. I I'm pretty sure that's how it goes. Because in the Civil War comic, Tony built him the Iron Spider suit, which is fucking sweet.
It is sweet.
That's clearly not going to be used in this movie, though. But yeah, I'm 99.9% sure that Tony makes him that suit that we see in the trailer. Mm-hmm. And I think the Russo brothers have said that Spider-Man has been a hero for a little bit, and he basically like made his suit out of like his clothes, and like they just look like crap. And I think that's what when Tony says under ruse, I think he's like making fun of his original costume. But clearly people were begging for Spider-Man to see him in the promotional material, and when we did, people lost their shit.
I almost wish they never revealed him, and I would like, because like now that the movie's a week away, I'm like, dude, I would love to have been surprised in the theater with everybody.
Yeah, but there was no way that Marvel was going to keep that under wraps.
No, absolutely not. I know that, and like if I was a business head, I would have done the same thing. It makes sense to reveal it. For marketing.
It's built up so much, hype for the movie, more than already was.
Yeah,
anticipation. And this Spider-Man is Peter Parker, and it's to be played by Tom Holland. I think the character's supposed to be around 15.
I think so. I'm
going forward. He's young. He's younger than any Peter Parker we've seen so far. He's like a freshman or sophomore in high school or something like that. And that's because they want to get a bunch of movies out of him, which understandably so, because you don't want to get another Spider-Man within, a 10-year stretch. But apparently, according to, people have said it, he's one of the best parts of the movie, and he's probably the best live-action Spider-Man we've seen,
which is awesome. And then people said that about the Hulk when the Hulk was revealed in the Avengers. They said like all like the critics who were not big comic book fans, people who were fans of the Hulk, said that Mark Ruffalo's portrayal is probably the best on screen, which is sad because we'll never get a solo Hulk movie, I feel like.
Not as long as Universal's being a bunch of cocks, because they own the distribution rights for solo Hulk movies. But at least we're going to see him in Thor Ragnarok. Anyway, Spider-Man's not in it for the entire movie. I think it's somewhere around like 20 to 35 minutes of screen time, from what I've been hearing, which is still a significant amount, which is still great. I didn't expect him to be in the entire movie. It's fine. Yeah. But apparently the movie's being well received on all fronts. The direction, the action, the acting. The two biggest stars from what I hear are Spider-Man and Black Panther, which is awesome because you're introducing two new characters to this universe. Yep. And two characters that people are dying for, and I'm glad that they're doing so well. And James Gunn said it's probably the best Marvel movie he's ever seen. And
that's coming from a guy who did Guardians of the Galaxy.
That's coming from the guy who did Guardians of the Galaxy. And, people are like, oh, you're just saying that because you work for Marvel. He goes, and he has a good point. He goes, no, I don't have to praise Marvel. I'm going out of my way to do it. They don't pay me to do this. Yeah. And James Gunn is not like he doesn't go out of his way to be, criticize people, but he doesn't bite his tongue when he feels like he wants to say something. And I'm not saying that in a bad way, but he is not afraid to make his feelings known, even though they might be negative. And James Gunn's a great guy, from what I hear. He seems really nice, and he's very honest.
He's part of the Tromaville film. He started off with Lloyd Kaufman, who, do you know what Troma is? Tromaville. No. They did the Toxic Avenger movies.
Okay.
Surf Nazis Must Die.
Yeah.
He started off from there. That's why Lloyd Kaufman has a cameo in Guardians of the Galaxy. So he's part of that thing. He's part of that crew coming out, and So he's got some cool, he's got a cool origin himself of where he started in the film industry. But yeah,
James made some great movies.
He's wrote some great movies too. Yeah,
written and directed.
Yeah, he wrote the Dawn of the Dead remake, which was awesome. It's awesome because of him.
Yeah, Slither. I don't know if you've ever seen that. It's a horror movie.
I saw it in theaters one time, and I remember liking it a lot.
It was really good. And then he made actually a superhero movie before that called Super, which is really good, actually. It's very underrated.
I never saw it.
Rainn Wilson stars as this.
It's on Netflix, right?
Hero. It might be. But he's made other stuff, and clearly Guardians of the Galaxy, he wrote and directed, and he's doing the second one. And Guardians of the Galaxy surprised everyone and blew, I think, pretty much everybody away.
Yeah, it did.
So I trust his opinion a lot, obviously. Plus, it's testing through the roof with critics and people who have seen advanced screenings alike. So I'm really happy about that.
Yeah, Marvel is in love with the Russo brothers right now.
Oh, deservingly so. I mean, Winter Soldier was fucking great.
Yeah.
It's one of Marvel's best movies, if not their best one.
Yeah, to this date, it's the best Marvel movie out, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
It's just, to me, it's not just a good comic movie. It's a really, really good movie.
It's a good action movie. It's a good thriller movie. It's a well-made movie.
It's a political drama.
Yeah.
It's got a lot to it.
Yeah, and you know what?
The Hail Hydra memes is the best part.
And they must be doing a good job on Civil War because Marvel entrusted them with the next 2 Avengers movies.
Yes, I'm really, dude. Oh my gosh. I hate being impatient.
I know.
Yeah,
I just want them all now.
I know. I want them all right now.
Yeah, and it's good to see that. It's funny that both Batman vs Superman and this came out within months of each other because they're both movies about major superheroes fighting against one another.
Yeah.
But in Civil War, like the whole fight, the conflict between Team Iron Man and Team Captain America is going to take up most of the movie. But there's also stuff going on. Like there's going to be Avengers doing work before this event happens. Then we have Crossbones coming back, who we saw in Winter Soldier, who got severely burned at the end. And if you remember, he was a Hydra agent. Mm-hmm. And then we have Baron Zemo, who is in the comics one of the heads of Hydra, and will probably be still one of the heads of Hydra. I don't really know. We don't really know much going into it right now.
No.
Don't know if he's still with Hydra or one of the heads or whatever. But there's like a million heads of Hydra all at once.
Hence Hydra.
Yeah. What is it? You cut one off to come back or whatever.
Yep.
And even on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., they've had a bunch of heads of Hydra that they're dealing with. But Baron Zemo is going to be played by Daniel Bruhl, which I'm excited for because he's a really good actor.
Yeah.
In my opinion. And I'm glad we don't know too much about that. But he's going to be doing some shady shit while, the superheroes are fighting one another. And I'm pretty sure that him and Crossbones are probably setting up the Winter Soldier, Bucky, so they can do their stuff, without intervention from the Avengers. And before we move on to Apocalypse, excuse me. Dalia last night sent me this thing. We were both talking about
Dalia, Awesome Sunday Show favorite.
Yeah, we were talking about Civil War and how well it's doing, and how people are already criticizing Marvel because it's kid stuff, quote unquote kid stuff. But he said he read this review on Cinema Blend, or I don't know if it was a review or a comment, but they're saying how Civil War being so great and Batman vs Superman being so negatively received, how is that an embarrassment for WB that Civil War is better, but WB being Warner Brothers, that Civil War is going to be better than Batman vs Superman? The guy goes, just based on the trailers, I can tell that Mad Max Fury Road, a Warner Brothers movie, is better than Civil War. So does that mean Civil War is an embarrassment to Marvel? I don't understand where this guy's logic comes from. Because Mad Max Fury Road is a fucking great movie. Yeah, we both gushed about this movie.
Yeah, it was my favorite movie last year.
Yeah, but even if Civil War is not better than Fury Road, how is being worse than an amazing movie an embarrassment?
Yeah, because even if I watch Captain America: Civil War and I still walk out thinking Mad Max is better, which can happen because Mad Max was really good. So I don't expect Civil War to be better. But if it is better, then more power to it.
Yeah.
But that's not an embarrassment for Marvel.
Right.
That's I don't know.
It's not an embarrassment at all.
Yeah.
Not to mention the fact that he went from comparing 2 comic book movies to comparing 1 comic book movie to Mad Max Fury Road, which is not a comic book movie.
It's not a comic book movie.
It's an action thriller, whatever. You can't compare those 2 things and then say one is an embarrassment over the other. Right. Comparing Civil War and Batman vs Superman works because they're 2 comic book movies and both of them have heroes going against one another from 2 rival Marvel.
And Batman vs Superman's a bad movie.
Yeah. And it is an embarrassment. And so you can't say that Civil War is an embarrassment, not to mention the fact that he's only basing it on trailers. You can't base how good or bad a movie is based on trailers.
You can guess.
You can guess, yeah.
But
you can't.
I could guess that Batman vs Superman was going to be bad based on the trailers.
Yeah. So that guy's clearly an idiot and is a butthurt DC fanboy.
Yep.
And that's not to trash talk DC fans. Like I said, I'm a DC fan, but there are butthurt fanboys of any sort of franchise.
I'm a huge fan of DC. I love DC. I think the Swamp Thing, New 52 Comics, is some of the best things I've ever read. Scott Snyder's rendition of Batman was incredible. The Killing Joke is one of the best single shot comics I've ever read. The Flash is one of my favorite superheroes ever. I'm a huge fan of DC. I cannot stand the DCEU.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's like these people are just these butthurt fanboys are just people who can't accept the DCEU is not good. Mm-hmm. But there's that happens there's fanboys of everything who are the same way. Look at sports teams. All the
exactly
time. Or like any show or whatever.
It's like, honestly, like when DCEU, people who are defending the DC cinematic universe like being better is like saying the Eagles are a better team than the Patriots. Like, I hate the Patriots, but I'm just using teams as an example. I would love to use the Giants as an example, but the past 2 seasons have been kind of trash. It's not true. Like, you have a team that's won 4 Super Bowls under one quarterback, not mentioning all the other Super Bowls they've won, compared to a team that's never won a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
And you're going to tell me that team is better? And when Donovan McNabb is like the highlight of your Eagles fandom when he's never won a Super Bowl.
And it's one thing, like, people love Batman versus Superman, and that's fine if you do. But you can't.
No, it's fine. It's fine if you love it.
Terrible movies too.
Yeah, but
everybody loves a movie that's terrible for different reasons.
If you told me you loved it because it was bad, I would have a lot of respect for you. I'm like, okay.
But regardless, if you love the movie, that's fine. But you have to be aware that it may, just because you love it doesn't mean it's a great movie. There are movies that I love that are not great movies.
Right.
There are shows that I love that are not great shows.
I love Hellraiser. That's a great movie. I love that movie. I think it's a great movie for me, but I know it's not a good movie in general. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, same thing goes for people who on Marvel's side who trash talk DC. Whatever. Just fucking get over it. And don't go out of your way to actively bash something because you can't accept that it might be better than what you want it to be better.
Exactly. It's a shame, but that's everything in life. Like we just finished an episode before. I know this episode's going up Sunday, but the Wednesday episode, or the Thursday episode we just recorded before. I'm a huge Nintendo fan. Nintendo is my favorite video game company. They suck right now. Mm-hmm. I would be lying if I said Nintendo is better than everybody else right now.
Yeah.
You would look at me and be like, "What?"
Yeah.
Like, you would say that's your opinion, but it's not valid to a certain extent. Yeah. You can say you like it better, but it's not better. Just
accept that better things come from different groups and that we want them both to be great.
Right, exactly. I would love the DCEU to be amazing.
Yeah. Whatever. Moving on, let's get to X-Men Apocalypse, which, while the X-Men are Marvel characters, these are Fox movies.
Yeah.
So we're going to go in. This comes out Memorial Day weekend. So a couple things you need to know. This is a sequel to Days of Future Past. It's set in the 80s. And the timeline has changed considerably from Days of Future Past. So there's going to be a lot of differences between what's going to happen in this movie, even what happened in the previous 2 movies, and then what happened in the first trilogy. But some of the main characters from the last one are still in. We still got Mystique, Xavier, Beast. We're getting more Quicksilver, which is great because I preferred the X-Men Quicksilver over
the Avengers one. Yeah, and not that I didn't like Taylor. What's his name? Aaron Taylor Johnson. I think he's a really good actor. And I didn't have a problem with Quicksilver in Age of Ultron, but he was not nearly as fun as the Quicksilver in X-Men.
Right. And then we got Magneto. Then we got some new X-Men. We got Jean Grey, played by Sophie Turner. We got Cyclops coming in, Nightcrawler, Jubilee, who I don't like Jubilee, but whatever.
she's annoying. She was annoying in the X-Men animated series. Forgive me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure she was created for that series. She wasn't an original comic book character.
To be honest, I don't really know.
I don't remember. But she was annoying in the series because it was really inconsistent. She would like her powers were kind of cool, but like she would be able to blow up a wall, but then like a prison concrete wall, like reinforced, and then she would like shoot at a sentinel, and the sentinel would just be like, "Ow." Mm-hmm. And then she'd be like, "Oh man, this stinks." Like she kind of sucks in that show. In the comics, she could be really cool. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. What else? And then we got Archangel coming in. He's going to be serving Apocalypse, who's the big bad. And then Apocalypse is the big bad. He's considered to be the first mutant ever. He's being played by Oscar Isaac, which is a great choice because Oscar Isaac is awesome.
Yeah, great actor. He's good in everything.
Yeah, absolutely. And Apocalypse is one of the most powerful figures in X-Men lore.
Yep,
pretty much. And so he was originally powerful as a mutant, but then he's been granted more powers through these beings called the Celestials. He's basically given armor of the gods called Celestial Armor, which enhances his power a crazy amount. And then through that he's able to learn new powers, and he has like a whole list of powers that he can go through instead of like one.
Yeah.
And he's pretty much an immortal now through that. So he's been alive for thousands and thousands of years. And in the trailers we see like Rose Byrne talking about how like it's Apocalypse, and then he has 4 horsemen who do his bidding. Mm-hmm. And he imbues them with great power too. So, and one of the horsemen is Magneto, who we know already is crazy powerful. He gets more powerful from serving Apocalypse because Apocalypse gives him more power.
Yeah.
And Apocalypse, you actually see him in the end credits of Days of Future Past. He's blue. The initial trailers for this, he started looking like Ivan Ooze from the Power Rangers movie.
When I first saw that trailer, I was just like, dude, this guy looks like Ivan Ooze.
Thankfully, they changed his color palette and they adjusted him a little bit. But he's basically setting out to cleanse the world, to destroy it, to start anew. Mm-hmm. And so he has these 4 horsemen. Magneto, like I said, he has Angel, who he transformed to Archangel and just makes him look better and gets him more powerful. Then we have Storm, which is great because I love Storm. She's crazy powerful, and then getting powers from Apocalypse is like, tenfold. And then Psylocke is his other 4 horsemen, played by Olivia Munn, who is like a really great fighter, and then she has some like psychic powers and can create.
She can psychically like create, like make her her limbs like weapons and like teleport. She's not I forget, I don't know like the actual terminology, but like she can't like levitate things. Mm-hmm. But like and again, I'm not a huge Psylocke fan. She's more of like a 90s X-Men comic character, which is like my era, but I haven't really read an X-Men comic in a while. So going off memory, which is mainly Marvel vs. Capcom 2, she can like teleport to different areas like which she can see, but like not to the extent of Nightcrawler, and she can shoot like psychic beams and stuff. So it's kind of cool. I forgive me for if I butchered that, but that's just from what I can remember.
Yeah, I really don't know.
To be honest, there's so many X-Men characters. Sorry, I don't remember every single one of them.
Yeah, she's one of the 4 horsemen, played by Olivia Munn, and her costume is actually like a replica of her comic costume, which is cool. So Apocalypse is going to use those 4 horsemen to his bidding to quote unquote cleanse the world. By that he means destroy it, and then starts new life. And it's up to the X-Men to stop him. And at one point in the trailer, I guess Xavier gets captured by Apocalypse and his team, so it turns over that Mystique has to lead the team. And a lot of people,
which is a cool twist, I think.
Yeah, a lot of people, especially on Reddit, but Reddit's in an anti-Jennifer Lawrence circle jerk right now.
Why?
Because they turn on anything that gets popular.
Oh yeah, why did I ask?
Yeah, are complaining because of how Mystique centric this movie is. The movie's not out yet. It's just a trailer. that she has to take over. But they're like, she was never really that big in the comics. Well, they're making her more important in this trilogy now than she was in the original trilogy. So the reason that she's probably going to be more prominent in this movie is, it has to do with Jennifer Lawrence becoming probably the biggest star in the world right now.
Right.
But it's also because they've made Mystique such an important character since First Class. That's why she became a very prominent character. So obviously she's going to be prominent in the movie.
But also too, that's because Jennifer Lawrence did become a huge star.
It's for both things.
Yeah, exactly. But that's not a bad thing.
Yeah, it's not a bad thing. She's a really good actress. Granted, Mystique, she may not have been the most important character in the world, but for this trilogy, she's important.
Yeah,
and that's just
fine.
what you have to accept.
It's called an adaptation.
Yeah, it's an adaptation. Exactly. It's not perfectly adapted from the Apocalypse comics and whatever. Just it's whatever.
Deal with it.
Yeah. And then, this is a spoiler for the most recent trailer, but this is something that we probably should have seen coming. Wolverine's going to make an appearance.
Right.
This is something that you really should have seen coming because he's been in every X-Men movie, with the exception of Deadpool, I think.
No, he wasn't in it.
Yeah. No, I mean, I know he wasn't in it, but I mean...
Deadpool's not really an X-Men movie.
In all the X-Men movies he's been in, I'm pretty sure. Mm-hmm. For cameos. And he's not... Bryan Singer did an interview saying he's not going to be in a ton of the movies, but he's not just going to be like a one scene type of actor,
right?
Or character, which is great because Hugh Jackman is awesome as Wolverine. So I would have been really surprised if he was not in this. So it doesn't really spoil anything because I saw it coming, but whatever. Mm-hmm. Expect him in it, and that's great. But this movie is, I don't know. I'm excited for it. I think it's stupid that Fox is releasing it 3 weeks after Civil War.
No, I don't think that's stupid. I think because it's like by that time, Civil War is going to be making money, but it's not going to have the same traction. I think if they released it the next week, I think that's really bad. But 3 weeks,
they should have given it at least a month.
Yeah, a month would have been perfect. I think if
or
it was
a month and a half, or 2 months.
If it was 4 weeks, I would have been fine. Perfect. I think that's the perfect time. 3 weeks isn't terrible. It's not ideal, but I don't think it's that bad.
Okay. Well, that's pretty much what. Do you have anything to add?
No, I mean, when it comes to X-Men, I know we talked about adaptations before. A lot of people do complain about it's not really X-Men because this and that. It's like, dude, shut up. Listen, I love X-Men. I love the idea behind X-Men when it comes to prejudices and stuff like that. And it's really an example of comic books kind of leading the charge when it comes to civil rights for certain peoples and everything like that. And I love the philosophy behind X-Men. I totally 100% support it. But there's stuff in the X-Men comic that's not good. They have to change.
Yeah. And
I'm fine with that. I'm fine with it. It's still an X-Men movie. And I love X-Men. So it's fine. It's all good.
Yeah. And, as far as these explanations go, I'm sorry if they weren't, fantastically thrilling or whatever, or didn't give you every bit of information you wanted. But that's fine because not all of it is going to be in these movies, and we don't want to give away too much before you see these movies because you want to be surprised, you want to learn new things in it, and I still want to do that myself, and I'm glad that they're adaptations and not going to be word for word, shot for shot of what these comics were, because I want something different too.
Exactly.
And I want to be surprised, and
it's a movie. You're supposed to not know things when you go
exactly. And I purposely left out the ending of Civil War, the comic book, because they might do it in the movie, they might not.
Yeah.
If you haven't previously read it and you don't know anything about the ending, trust me, don't read it. Don't look into it now, just in case they do go that route in the movie.
Right. Just wait till it's one of those things. Just wait till after the.
If anything, just read it afterwards, or look it up afterwards, just in case they do go that route. They might not. They might put a different spin on it.
I think they're going to, which is fine. I'm cool with that.
Just wait to be surprised. I mean, Civil War comes out the 6th with. This is going up Sunday, so it's less than a week from when this is being released. Just go see it, learn everything you can during the movie.
I can't wait.
I can't fucking wait either. I am more excited for this than anything.
It's been a while. I'm not Star Wars excited. Star Wars, I would literally, especially like days before the movie, I couldn't sleep. But again, I might be that way with this movie too.
Yeah, but that was, Star Wars.
That was Star Wars.
That was something completely different.
Right. I agree. So, but I am really excited for this movie.
I'm as excited for this movie as I was for the first Avengers movie. And I'm
more excited for this movie than the first Avengers movie.
Fair enough. Yeah,
I think so.
I could probably be about
because the first Avengers movie, I was worrisome about it whether it would work. But the fact that it worked and Marvel time and again has come and hit after hit, I'm like that. That's why I'm more excited for this movie.
Okay, yeah, that's a good way of putting it. Yeah. So when these movies come out, expect podcast reviews of it. I know Connor will more than likely do couch review episodes.
Well, I guess it's safe to announce now that we are going to do. Well, maybe I did announce it, but just in case I didn't, there will be a couch review. There's going to be one of the Jungle Book coming up this weekend, but Thursday after we're going to see it Thursday. Friday we'll probably film it. There's going to be a couch review. This could be the first time where it's 3 guests, but it's 2 couch review alumni, Pat McNellis and Matt Hoffman. We're going to be talking about it.
And the couch review is going to be spoiler free.
Yeah, the couch review will be spoiler free.
The podcast will be spoiler heavy.
Yeah, it will be spoiler heaven for all those people who love spoilers.
Yeah. And then obviously the same things will happen for X-Men Apocalypse. But if you do have any questions that you don't want to wait for the movie to have answered, just comment, tweet us, whatever, text us, and we'll be doing
We would love open tweets from people. Like, hey, just tweet us. I would probably respond.
Yeah.
I'd be like, whoa, someone likes me?
Yeah, whether it's our personal accounts or the Awesome Sunday Show account, which would be better because we don't really tweet much from that, and I want to start using that more.
Yeah, I mean, we both literally can access it on our phones.
Yeah. Yeah, so if you want a question or whatever, if there's any points you want to make about these movies, comment, subscribe, let us know, whatever. Make sure you like, share, comment, subscribe this on YouTube, Podbean, iTunes. Put it on blast, share it with everybody you know.
Mail us checks
if you want to, or send us 2 cents on Venmo like Dentino does to random people.
I think Robbie still owes me money for Civil War through Venmo.
Probably, go figure. Anyway, thanks for listening. Get hyped about these movies because we certainly are, and expect things. Thanks for listening.
Have a great one.